the universities have, to attract students, have lost focus on their core product, which is knowledge, and they've become these behemoth housing complexes. They've gotten into the housing business, the food business, the recreation business, all of the things that surround it that really aren't teaching you something. Um, they just look good. They're the thing that attracted my sister when she went on, school tours with her daughter to go to this university as opposed to that university. And the fact that they could guarantee that her daughter would have a room by herself in a residence. So she, all these things that, I just got into dingy basement, in some hovel. That's what I got. And I never really expected anything different. That's just the way it was going to be. But I think what will happen as the government says we're not spending more money on university because this is a good way to get my field. This is the way I would look at it if I'm a government person. And, just, okay, 88% of the money that's getting spent on university education comes from the taxpayers. And the taxpayer base is shrinking, and the ones that are paying taxes don't want to pay anymore. So what I want to do is I want to get people working as quickly as possible. So I start bringing in people from other countries that get to work in the jobs that the Canadians don't want to do. They immediately start working, start paying taxes. We shut the door on that because we've run out of houses. So now what we've got to do is we've got to take these 18-year-olds, instead of spending 88% of the tax money on their education at university, we've got to de-incent them to go to university, and we've got to get them out in the workforce where they're increasing GDP and paying taxes. That's what I would want to do. So I would start, as I think what the government's going to say is, we're not funding your universities anymore the way we were. You've taken the money and you've built these massive housing complexes. You've created a behemoth infrastructure that costs too much to fund, and there's no reason for these beautiful 50-meter indoor swimming pools with 25 different recreational activities, because we brought people here to teach them how to be doctors and lawyers and accountants and philosophers and all these things, and swimming laps in the pool isn't that. So let's not spend any money on that. So when they start shrinking that, what's going to happen is the quality of the education in the university will start to drop. No question about it. They're just going to they're not going to cut back on salaries because teachers just don't put up with that, but they're going to lay them off for sure. They're going to cancel programs. So you're going to have these universities that frankly are great housing places for people that work and want to live, and they've already got them. So they'll start using them to that extent. But then the programs that the universities are running will be funded less and less and less. And that's what's going to happen. And it's going to force people to get jobs because there's no point going to university, because even at this point, 80% of first year students, if they knew at 29 what their arc looked like, they would have made a different decision at 18. We just know that's to be true. If you went to school to be a doctor and you were a doctor, you probably wouldn't change your mind. But if you went to school to be a doctor and you came out and you ended up working at Starbucks and a couple of part-time gigs, and you were 30 years old, still living at home or barely able to pay for the apartment that you're renting with a friend of yours, you would say, who sold me this? The question, that's not